Hey, now it works. So excited to be here with you today. And John Powell, Johnny on the spot. Well done. John Powell, you win the prize. You are here early. Good morning, Carl. KUKUI Carl is in the house. Glad to have you here, KUKUI Carl. Good to see you. Good morning, everybody. Glad you're here. We have a phenomenal webinar, a phenomenal discussion today. I'm so excited. Talk about shop owner success webinars. This is going to rank amongst the highest. Why? Because this is information that we can shine a light on, and it's going to make a difference to all of us in this industry and all of us that are here. So we are KUKUI. We are here together. We are here to help you and help each other. That as we lock arms together in this crazy storm, none of our ships are created equal. We are going to work together to have the best experience that we can possibly have. I'm so excited to have you here and for this discussion, because this is going to be amazing. To let you know how the discussions will go, type into the chat function to the comments, whether you're on Facebook or on YouTube, and we'll give you a little bit of a shout out here. Thank you, John Powell up here first, and KUKUI Carl. Glad to have you here, KUKUI Carl. I know I'm not the first one today. Yes, no, you're not the first one today. Pink Ryan, what? Hand pink waving. Okay, thank you, Ryan. From Glenn. Glenn is in where's Glenn? Oakville, Ontario. Woohoo, Glenn. Hey, Glenn, dude, I'm so glad you're here. This also makes us an international show now. How about that? Yeah, loving that. Scott, Temecula, California. And yes, Ryan, we do know that you are on YouTube. See the little icon there that has the YouTube picture? That's pretty awesome. And so far, everybody is joining from YouTube. So that's awesome. I'm glad that you are putting this information in here, that we know where you're coming from. And thank you for removing that. I was trying to remove it. So glad that we're here. We have some great, awesome information to talk about today. This is an area of your business that you may not have considered previously. This is an area that you probably, well, we need to shine a light on this so you can see what's going on. A couple more shout outs here. We'll give it up to Ken. Ken, glad you're here, South Carolina. And from Austin, Lucas. Lucas is here as well. Thank you, Lucas. You guys are awesome. Thank you. Super excited that you're here. And hide. Nice. New platform we're using. Yes, it's StreamYard, and it is awesome. It's so much fun. My name is Jimmy Lea. I am KUKUI. I am here to be the voice for you today. I'm the host of the KUKUI Shop Owner Success webinar. And joining me today to have this discussion, to lead this discussion, is Judi Haglin. Judi is the owner of Haglin Automotive out of, well, you're in the Denver area, but where in Denver are you, Judi?
Well, I'm in Northwest. I'm in Boulder, Colorado.
Boulder,
24 square miles surrounded by reality. That is where we live.
24 square miles of awesomeness. I
Absolutely.
have been to the Haglin Automotive shop. It is awesome. It's amazing. If ever you're in the Denver area, travel up to Boulder, go visit Haglin Automotive. It is an awesome shop. And their shops, you've had a couple. They're all within a stone's throw of each other.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And
yes.
To hear her story and their story is awesome. It's amazing. And this is our discussion today. This is awesome because this has been a long-term analysis. This has been a long-term data gathering. Mm-hmm. And we are going into closing the back door. So Judi, the floor is yours. We're talking about closing this back door because some shops don't realize the back door's open. Some shops don't even realize that there is a back door. Some shops don't even realize they're missing the entire back wall. They have a freeway running out their back of their business.
Yep.
So I'm excited for this information. Judi, the floor is yours. Let's talk about closing that back door.
All right. I can't keep up with Jimmy's entertaining value and his way to go, but good job. Great introduction. I want to talk a little bit about how did I get here to where we're going to talk about closing the back door. So it's closing the back door is a topic. It's going to little journey to get there. I started out years and years ago. I've been doing. We've owned the shop since 1981, so we're working our 42nd year. I am kind of a marketing crazy spreadsheet person. So I started tracking my marketing results. That was the first step. Then source tracking was the next one. If you're not source tracking, we'll talk about that in a minute. And then acquisition versus retention. Where do you spend your money? Then we dug deeper, and then the closing the back door exercise, which I've done with a couple groups. January in 2022, we sat down with the team, front and back, and we to add 20% of our lost customers in 2022. Our results was we wanted to reach that 2.5 million mark. We did 2.43. We gained $350,000 last year by really focusing on back to basics and really and closing the back door and making that a priority. Tracking all of my marketing efforts, you need to know what your ROI, return on investment, is. This is key to where you need to know where you're spending your money and what's bringing it in. Actually, I'm going to, oops. So there's a story here that I'm going to go back a slide that, and I'm going to go back a slide, not forward a slide. Oh my Lord, it's early this morning. So I had an example where a Yellow Pages, I'm really showing my age because I am older, that he came in, the Yellow Page guy came in, and if you remember how that used to be, the he'd come in, he'd sell you the next page, you got to have the bigger page, and I was paying about $1,200 a month. He wanted me to go to 2,000. I was source tracking. I knew exactly how much money was coming in on all of my different programs. And I said, well, let me look at my computer. We had Mitchell at that point, great source tracking I had set up. And I said, I've had two customers come in and they've spent $1,200 in the entire year. I turned around to the gentleman and he said, okay, I guess I'm not selling you anything today. What that showed me was there's huge power in making decisions, and you're not making decisions based on fear, because if, on marketing, do I quit that? Do I not quit that? Where do I go? What do I do? So track all of your marketing. This is we're using TechMetric now. We switched about 2 years ago. This one is where the repeat sales right now. This is just an example I pulled. This is from 2022. We're in 2023. This is our seasonal savers card where everybody has they get a plastic little card that they get $25 off each quarter. This is our repeat sales. It brought in $104,000. I know based on all of this what my fleets are bringing in, what every source is bringing in, which is really an awesome tool to have. The next thing I delved into was source tracking. I was source tracking, and I had a newcomers program that I was paying like $300 a month for. And it was a free oil change, the new movers that moved in. And I went into, we're an ATI shop, and I went into Brian Stosh. I said, hey, how do I know whether I'm going to keep this program or not? I'm paying $300 a month. I'm getting about 8 to 10 a month, and it's all free. It's just, and he looks at me and he goes, well, are they coming back for a second visit? Well, you talk about a bell going off in my head. I went, hold please, I'll get back with you. So I immediately went back and started tracking not just my source of how did they find us the first time they came in, but now I'm tracking, are they coming in for a second visit? Are they coming in for a third visit? Interesting to know at the first visit, they like your facility, your staff, and your service. Remember, second visit, was it good, as good, or better? They're learning to trust you. And on the third visit, plus relationship is growing. Also want to point out on your first visit, they're really basing it, if in the online world, they're looking at your reviews. So I would recommend everybody really look at your reviews. Is what their people saying online, is that who you are, and are you delivering that product? Is key. And that's what they will judge it against on your first visit and then second visit. So remember, trust starts after the first and is constantly earned. Constantly earned. This is an example of 2022 in our customer source report that we have. And if you notice, Google is 51% of my new customers that are coming in. So I know what I'm spending. We're in a very high tech area in Boulder, and we have CU, University of Colorado. So I have 30 some thousand students and instructors coming in and out twice a year. So it's key to know where we're going to spend those marketing dollars.
Okay, Judy, hold on a second here
Yeah, go
because
ahead.
I'm seeing two different things, and I did recognize some KUKUI information there. You were tracking everything by hand beforehand with Mitchell, and then this last side was KUKUI. So you're tracking it all in the KUKUI software now.
Well, whoops, this is TechMetric right here.
Oh, good. Okay.
This is TechMetric, not through KUKUI, but there is information in the KUKUI dashboard that I absolutely use, especially for the next couple pieces on that. So this is TechMetric. I also, when we were doing Mitchell and Bolt-On, I would go through and I can do all the source marketing. I figured that out how to do in Mitchell. Good point, Jimmy, because if you aren't tracking, if you don't have software, and most all the newer software does this, if you
Yeah.
don't have software that can track this, you absolutely can do it on your own through spreadsheets, which I love spreadsheets, but you can manually track it. And it's that important to where you should absolutely track it.
Okay.
Good.
So we can track it by hand,
Hmm.
advance a couple years in your timeline.
Hmm.
There is software that can do it.
Yes,
Definitely get a hold of that software and track it so you know
correct.
where your biggest bang for the buck is.
I think most all of your newer softwares that are out there can. I know Mitchell does. I tweaked it a little bit to get my marketing, because there's two different aspects of that marketing piece. One is how they first found you and keeping track of first, second, third visits, and then also what are you doing for your customer retention marketing?
Yeah.
And that's acquisition versus retention, because you're spending money in both of these areas. And you really need to know, as a shop owner, where do you need to spend those monies? If
Yeah.
your if you have if your front staff is not prepped to handle what you're putting out there as an acquisition piece, and they come in and have a bad experience over and over and over again, your acquisition money is wasted. If
Yeah.
you're spending a lot of money to get the phone to ring and your people are not answering the phone correctly, or turning the number one important thing when you answer the phone is what, Jimmy? What's the most important thing?
You need to smile.
Well, yeah, and then what's the next thing? What do you need to do?
Greet them and say hello and thank you. And I'm here to solve your problems.
And yep, and at the end, what are you making? An appointment.
An
That's the whole
appointment.
job. If they're not doing that, what's the point of having the phone ring?
Yeah.
So the next step that we made to get to closing the back door is acquisition versus retention. This is a program or a class that George Zeeks with ATI put together for us in the ladies group, because we wanted to know and really evaluate it. And I'm a numbers person. Numbers don't lie, in my opinion. Numbers are numbers. You can manipulate them, but they don't lie. So in this, the green quadrant on the top left is high acquisition and high retention. And the way we've kind of quantified those numbers is your new customer count is your range is at 20% or higher. They say 10% moves, goes away, dies. So you need to be 20% or higher, and then you're in that higher acquisition spot. And then on the under that, your visit frequency, which is how many times one customer comes back, is greater than 2.5. That number since COVID, this is before COVID, it may have changed mine. I was at 2.4, I'm now to 1.96, I think. So with COVID, it has dropped a little bit. And also on the retention piece, your one-time visitor percentage is at less than 40%. First, so this number is a whole exercise that you can do. You take all your new customers, and then you look over a period of a year and count how many of those only came in one time. You get everybody says, well, October, November, December, they don't have a chance to come back. Yeah, but you got the people that came in January, February, March. So it's a wash. You look at that and you take that percentage. And when I've done this in several different groups and several different trainings, you'd be surprised at how high that number is. I've seen as high as 75%. We run 50. That means that if you have 10 new customers in a week, my stats in my shop say 5 of those people will not come back. That's just a scary thing to have a conversation with your front staff about. If you go to the blue top right, high acquisition, low retention. So your visit frequency is 2.5, and the number, your 1% is still 40%. Your top one is that your 20% or higher. Your visit frequency, I'm sorry, is lower than 2.5, and it's greater than 40%. Bottom left is low acquisition, high retention. So this we call kind of the club. You don't have a lot of new people coming in, but all your people are coming back in. In small towns, a lot of smaller towns is in this category. Their new customer counts less than 20%. If you're in the bottom right hand side, the low acquisition, low retention side, we pretty much say you're out of business and you just don't know it yet. And when we did this in the ladies group, we had one gal, and all of a sudden she went just white, pale white. And we went, what's going on? She goes, my numbers, I'm over here. I'm in the red. And she kicked it in the butt, they figured out her marketing, and now they are absolutely doing great. But without knowing the numbers and really be able to look at numbers, because numbers don't lie, and you look at trends, what you're trending and how are you trending, that's what gives you the huge power in that. So this goes back to what Jimmy said. If you don't have software that calculates it for you, source marketing can be done manually. The important thing is track it. So track source marketing, track your one-time visitor rate, track your ROI, but you can do it all somehow with your software, make it happen.
Yeah. And Judi,
Yeah.
to this point, you definitely want the software, because I go visit a lot of shops, and I say that they make their decisions by a gut feel. I feel like I'm getting this from this account. I feel like I'm getting this. And to your point about the yellow pages, he came in to upsell you to a $2,000 a month or $2,000 a year program. And as a gut feel, it might feel like, oh yeah, if I have bigger, flashier, better, I'm going to get more people to call. Okay, but wait a second. Let's look at the numbers. The numbers. Okay, no.
Numbers don't lie. And back to my example of the new movers, I started tracking the second visit.
Yeah.
I canceled that after 6 months because
Nice.
I knew that they weren't coming back because it was the wrong type of customer. We also had several years ago, I think in 2005, we were doing a lot of advertising to all the students. Come May, we were like, we're dead.
They're all gone. They all went
Everybody
home.
left. So it took me 3 to 5 years to turn that market around. But if I didn't know and I didn't track, I would have had no idea that happened.
Yeah, so true. So how is it then we have closing the back door? What is this process now? Now let's shine a light on it so that we can see how we're going to close this back door.
Yes. So in that, I'm going to go back to this quadrant right here. We were in the high acquisition, low retention. My acquisition is running 65% new customers every week, which is great. But my retention is not. I mean, my retention numbers were okay. My visit frequency was at like 53%. Okay.
It just wasn't where you wanted it.
It was not. No, I want to figure out how I can keep more of those people. So I knew that I had to focus on retention. Hence, we did closing the back door. And after talking to George Zeeks, who is in our ladies group, he's our coach, our facilitator. And I said, George, we got to talk about this. And he came up with this concept. I'll talk about the closing the back door. We spend a lot of money to get our customers to come in. We welcome them. We have pretty coffee. We have nice restrooms. We have great people up front. We spend a lot of money, and we spend a lot of money to get the phones to ring. But most of us and everybody I've done this exercise with, the back door is wide open, which means they're coming in and they're leaving, okay, as they normally should. You fix the cars, you pay them, and then they go away. They're just going out the back door, and they're never coming back in. Okay, so that's the concept. Where it came from, and this I have to give a shout out to George Zeeks and ATI on this one. He took a non-automotive concept and adapted it to our industry. He does this a lot, and it's kind of fun to watch. And bear with me. I'm going to read this, and I normally don't read slides, but we're going to read it one way, and then we're going to read it another. So the premise of Sticky Church is that we have become so focused on reaching people that we've forgotten the importance of keeping people. If ever there was a need for this perspective within CFCC/CMS circles, church circles, this book brings it. Says Osborne, churches need to be stickier, and stickier churches are healthier churches. Larry Osborne is just known for making a process for people that come into church the first time. They introduce them, they have a person that takes them under their wing, they get them involved, and there's a whole process that he has created around the sticky church. What I'm going to suggest and say is that now we're going to read it just a little bit and adapt it to our industry. The premise of sticky automotive repair is that we have become so focused on acquiring new customers that we've forgotten the importance of retaining and keeping those customers. If ever there was a need for this perspective within the automotive industry, Osborne says that automotive repairs shops need to be stickier, and stickier automotive repair shops are healthier automotive repair shops, which we kind of proved when we made $350,000 more last year. And so it's a cool concept. We had this in the 20 group and I went, okay, I am the numbers and I'm the spreadsheet queen. I have an actual, my mug. That's a spreadsheet. There we are. Oops. That's, this calls for a spreadsheet. That's me. I created a close the backdoor migration exercise. A lot of numbers on the screen. I'm going to break it down into different areas. If Jimmy, did you advance a slide? Okay, so these are our actual numbers. And I started this back in 2014. This is not for the faint of heart, but it is an amazing exercise. And I pulled this data from several other groups that have done this, and their percentages are really very similar. No one's doing a phenomenal job here. And if they are, we're asking, how are you doing it?
So,
yeah,
Judi, what you're showing there, those negative numbers, that last slide, the 5 or 6, those are other shops' results.
Yes, these are 6 other shops' results on their backdoor loss. So if we take the top left, 365, when you look at my numbers, is not, I'd love to have only lost 365. I'm way up there, but it's 57%. It's a high percentage. So that's why I put the percentages in there. If you look on the top right one, he's got only 34, 41, 21. If you notice, no one has a positive number. No one.
Yeah.
And no one that's done this exercise so far, that would be my challenge to everybody. If you got a positive number, then obviously retention is not a piece. You have closed your back door.
Nice.
Okay. So we'll go over and we're going to break this down step by step. KUKUI, this is where I have to absolutely say I love KUKUI's dashboard, because when I do the backdoor exercise, it's minutes versus in Mitchell, it took me hours to do it because I had to hand calc and hand pull, and it was a nightmare. So KUKUI's, their dashboard had all the information. What you have to make sure is when KUKUI, when you pull up the dashboard, you normally have just 90 days right here. You want to pull your date range for a year. Try to do a 12-month period. So this is 1/1/2022 to 12/31/22. Make sure you hit go, and then you get your data. Okay. This is my data, and then for active customer count. Okay, we're talking about customers that are coming in. We're not talking about car count here. This is actual customers. Customers may have 3 or 4 cars. That's fine. It may be a fleet. If you have lots of fleet, I would pull those out. But this is on customers. So you look at your active customers in my KUKUI, and this 1472 says that in 2022, I serviced 1,472 customers. Also, as Jimmy told me a while ago, this gray number underneath is the same date range a year ago. Is that correct, Jimmy?
That's correct.
Jimmy's sleeping in the green room. So in 2021, I serviced 1,269. So I increased by 203, I think, numbers. The next number I pull is my new customer count, which KUKUI captures very well for us as well. So I had 923 new customers last year, 821 the year before. Once again, it's customer count, not car count. Here I have a note. If you have a large number of fleets, I'm talking 15, 20 fleets, you might want to pull them out of some of these numbers so that you're accurate with actual customers coming in. So here we are with back to this where I have 2022's numbers. So I'm going to break it down and do it one line kind of at a time so you can follow. And here we go. 2021, I ended the year with 1,269 customers coming in. That's automatically 1,269. That's what I'm going to start with. That's my assumption that I'm starting with in 2022. 2022, as I run the report, gee, why am I getting blank slides? New customers, I had 923, which we saw from the data, and it's 62% of my customers that I'm serving is new customers, which is huge. That's why, hence, I'm concentrating on closing the back door. Then at the end of 2022, I go in and pull that report, and I'm at 1,472 customers that I've serviced. So now we know we started with 1,269, we added 923, we ended with 1,473. If you're really good with math, people, you're going to go, something's not right there. My actual growth from 1,269 to 1,470 was 203. So back to that sticky church concept. Let me put it in church terms. Sunday comes along and you have 5 new people. Your parishioner says, "Wow, that's great. We had 5 new people." And then the bean counter says, "Yeah, but we had 100 last week and we only had 95 this week. That means we lost how many out the back door? How many didn't come back?" And that's what we're focusing on, trying to get them back. So my backdoor loss is negative 720. So out of these 1,269 customers, I brought in these new people. I had 720 of these 1,269 that didn't come in. And then for, the exercise, and I did this for a while and calculated my potential growth, what it should have been. And I did it for like 4 years and I had to go and throw up because the number was astronomical. And I went, "Oh my God, I should be making millions." And I'm not. So we had to fix it. Which should be 2,192 because you take 1,269 and 1,472. Now that we come back to this slide here, 2022, here's my numbers on the bottom. 2021, so the numbers, so all those, that's how I came up with all those numbers. My acquisition, even though I haven't done a whole lot more and spent more money because we're focusing on retention, has gone up. You'll notice that we had in 18, 19, 20 COVID, but the actual growth number is what I work with, that, and then my backdoor loss numbers, which is still a high number, but my overall growth number is going up. And looking at that, shared this with my staff and looked at, okay, I dug deeper and I went, okay, now I'm going to run it month by month by month and see where we're at and see if we're moving and making a change on the needle. The actual growth, anytime you're doing a spreadsheet, running graphs and looking at trends is hugely important to know where you've been and where do you want to go. So I just pulled from January of my monthly numbers, 2021 to 2022. You have a lot of ups and downs, right? And those are peaks and valleys. But if you take that mean and you just go straight up, I've got an upward trend, which means my staff is kicking it and making it happen. And Moose is in the back of the screen yawning. Great. This is what I did at the end of 2021 to where we could focus on it. As Jimmy said, shine the light on it. We had a meeting and we said, okay, we want to be at the 2.5 mil. We were at 2.1. And I said, okay, in order to do that, let's look at the numbers. Where and what do we have to do? So our goal was to up the cars by, we said 75 new customers. We should be able to handle that. That was more than what we were bringing in. And one-time frequency, and we put it at half our average RO because they're coming in the first time. You're not killing them. Gives us a 33,750. I'm going to put one caveat in here that on our Google and online stuff, our first time is that we run on those is running anywhere from $800 to $900 on those. So that is like a referral when it's online, and it really does pay off. Then we looked at our existing customers and how many we wanted to bring in. It's at about 20%. And they all said, okay, if we focus on this and really work on how we're answering the phones, how we're doing the kiss goodbye, how we're doing our CRM, we actually switched to My Shop Manager. And that has been very successful for us. We looked at Mechanic Advisor and my shop manager, and my manager said, "No, I like my shop. I like this one better because I can personalize it better." We're getting anywhere from 10 to 12 texts every single day, communications back and forth, which is great. So we've upped all that game. Frequency we're saying is 2, average RO, and that's our 400. So our goal was 2.5 mil. Whenever you want to make a change, you need to focus on it and make sure that everybody's on rowing the same direction and where we're going. So we looked at our DVIs, we looked at what's our office look like, we looked at so many different things. And I'm going to go over some of the things that we talked about and did, because I'm a big one on how do you make change. And if I just say, here's the numbers, here's your stuff, what are some changes that you need to make? So this is just that the goal and where we were of what our goals were. We were wanted 895. We actually did 923 on new customers. We were at end of year 14.7. We wanted to be 15. We were at 14. The growth was 295. We did 205, and we were going for negative 600. We lost negative 700. I can't complain because the results were awesome, and my team did a great job. And now we're focusing on it and delving into this still of how do we keep that going. Any questions out there, Jimmy? Are you seeing anything? Or am I just talking and going crazy?
Oh, you're laying down some really good information, and my mind is blown by shining a light in this area and having the entire team on board. I think that's probably key in this whole program is having the team on board with you. So, like you say, we're all rowing in the same direction. That
Right.
allows for a team mentality. And you went through the whole customer journey, the whole customer story to come in with this team effort that you guys would do this.
Right.
This is awesome. I love this. This is mind blowing.
And I guess it's great as an owner if you're looking at any data, any information, any training or whatever, if you can't one show what's in it for them. Okay. And when I did this whole thing, I said, here, what's in it for you? And I said, this is what your paycheck could look like. And this is how much more you could make. They all went, okay, we're on, because my people were very money motivated at that point. And it made a huge difference. So you have to show what's in it for them, but you have to share what you want to do, where you want to go, and why. The why is so important. You can't just throw the spreadsheet up and say, here's our numbers. We suck, because we do. Our numbers are still not where we want to be, but we made a difference. And everybody's very aware. It's kind of like we also have labor hour inventory where we only talk about that. My front staff only talks, we just talk about hours. We don't talk about average RO or sales. We know that if our labor hour inventory is where it needs to be every week, everybody makes money and everybody's happy.
Yeah.
So it's just shining a light on some of those focus things and making it to where it becomes muscle memory, those changes. We talked about the phone. Are you making the appointment? Are we bringing them in? When the customers are leaving, I had one guy that was amazing, and he would say, I want you to know, very end, very end. He'd say, I want you to know I'm your car guy. If you need anything, whether you're on the side of the road, whatever it is, if you need anything, you let me know. And it was just great. So share, get everybody on board. The next part, I'm just going to go into some things because I know Jimmy would probably say, okay, Judi, what are some of the things you changed, right? Is that what you're going to ask me next?
Yeah, it is. I mean, here we talk about shining a light on it, and these numbers are great. Okay, so how do we go from point A to point B? Where's that straight line, which really is probably fairly squirrely because you've got to go through so many other gyrations of looking at this aspect of the business and this aspect of the customer experience.
Right.
What does that squirrely straight line look like?
Yeah, ups and downs every day. But I want to start with this. Henry Ford said, if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got. And we share this with my staff, because if they're saying that, well, this is not working or whatever, what are you changing? What are you doing? It's like, yeah, okay, you got us. We need to change. This is a definition, and I've taught, there's a whole class I did at ASA Colorado Summit this last January on whole customer service and how we delved into this whole retention piece. It was a 3-hour class, so I'm going to give you a couple snippets. Customer service is defined by Salesforce is the support you offer your customers both before and after They buy and use your products where they're an easy, enjoyable experience. And in the automotive world, that's what we do. We have to fix their problems, but we have to make it easy and enjoyable, and we want them to come back. And your goal is to get them to come back for a second and third visit. And I know as everybody, it's so easy to say, well, did you make that next appointment? Did you make that happen? I'm going to still tell you, we don't have that dialed in still. We're still working on that concept. And it's okay to work on it. If you're saying, I got 10%, I got 20%, now I'm up to 50%, that's great. Make something happen. Create your customer vision. We talked about this. Be the best part of everyone's day. You have no idea what that customer has gone through before he walked through your door. Chick-fil-A has an amazing video on just that concept where they have a pop-ups on each person as they're coming in. And there's some really horrible things people are dealing with, or some really great things. But you want to be the best part of everyone's day. And for them to say, you just made my day, that is awesome. So don't assume anything. If they're grumpy, don't assume it's you. Maybe somebody just landed in ICU. Maybe they just wrecked their other car. You never know. The other thing we did was we created non-negotiables. And these, I'll show you a book that I read later that I would recommend everyone read. And do you have customer service non-negotiables? These are our non-negotiables that we talk about and go over. And this is how we changed how we treat people in the office and as they're coming in. Number one, we're a yes shop. When Andrew came to us 2.5, 3 years ago, he said he really focused on that. He's my manager. We're a yes shop. You say yes even when the answer is no. And we practice that. And we don't say, no, we can't get it in today. I can get it in tomorrow. It's no, I would love to take care of your car. We would love to have you bring it in. I know that my technician can start on it tomorrow. Say yes before you say no. If it's a service you don't provide, say, you know what? I don't provide it, but I will absolutely help you and get you to that thing. So you're a yes shop and you bring everything in. Do the right thing, especially when no one is watching. This is a culture thing that you need your people to know that they need to do the right thing. You also have to enable them and empower them to be able to do the right thing. Number 3, own it. This one is a little challenging sometimes, and we as owners need to look in the mirror sometimes, and you need to own it. If it's not going well, you need to look in the mirror. And they do the same. Always anticipate, delight, and excel. Everyone, every time, be engaged. Engaged employees make you more money. Everybody knows that. If everybody's engaged, even as you as an owner, if you're engaged, you will just do better. Deliver wow, be their hero or heroine and make their day. Make it happen and go the extra mile. And this is where you empower your employees to say yes, find a way to exceed expectations. If the car came in with no gas, maybe you should fill the tank up for them and say, hey, I filled up the tank. I passed on the cost to you, or you just filled it up because you knew they were having a bad day. Car wash, whatever that is, to make it happen and go the extra mile. And then making it personal. Listen and understand what their needs and wants are and make it happen if at all possible. And when I say make it personal, I'm going to give you a story here that I had a service writer. She was phenomenal. And a lady came in with a purse and put it on the top of the counter. And in my opinion, it was like, oh my God, it was this green plaid, really not very attractive purse. And I'm thinking to myself, going, oh, that's something I would never buy. And all of a sudden, Ashley disappears from under the counter. She goes under the counter. She comes back up. She flips her purse on the counter next to that customer's counter. It's the exact same one, except hers is purple. They talked for 10 minutes about this purse and how awesome it was. Do you think she made that personal? Yeah, I'm thinking she did. It was great. That's the kind of personal. How do you do that and make it personal? This book, Customer Service Revolution by John DeJulius III, I would highly recommend everybody get it. I read this cover to cover nonstop when I first sat down. It is right up customer retention alley. I stole several things and adapted from this book, giving him credit with that. One other thing that we talked about was that relationship invoicing versus transactional invoicing, making it personal, telling a story. Couple tidbits here is that when you write up their invoice, is that my technician or your technician, Steve, did perform these tests and found out, and Steve recommends blah blah blah. Make it relationship, and then make it a story. Don't use the CEL or the MAP or the MAF or the C, whatever those all those acronyms are. Spell it out, explain it, reread it to where it really makes sense. And this does take extra time, but it makes a huge difference when it's in written form and they're seeing it, especially on your digital vehicle inspections that you're sending out to customers. Talk in stories. It's huge. It makes a huge difference versus brakes 3%, need brakes. Explain it, make it go, because people, and then pictures, obviously. The other thing that was in this book is a never and always list. And we read, I copied a couple of pages, said, okay, the never and always list, what do we want to do? We sat down as a team. We do a lot of things. Every month we have a team meeting with my front staff and talk about how do we improve, how are we doing, where are we going, what do we need to do? And a never and always list. So Jimmy, you'll love this point. This first one is you never point. Remember that slide? Never point, show them. So you don't say the bathroom's over here. You go, let me show you where the restroom is, or let me show you how to get the coffee. Let me show you, take them to the lobby, but don't just point. Right, Jimmy? Don't just point.
Yep.
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 Okay. This is a special thing.
And I love this list. One word that I would love to add to it is the word just.
Just. Yes. I think that's down. This is only a partial list.
Oh, is it? Okay.
I only put partial list on here.
It's a weak word.
It is a weak word. There's a lot of words that we use that are weak words that we just don't realize that we're using them.
Yes.
Say no. Don't say no. Focus on what you can do. Saying no problem. Say certainly, my pleasure, absolutely, I would be happy to. Change that verbiage of no problem. The other one is I'll think of it. I don't know. Let me find out. There's nothing more frustrating than having a brand new employee on the counter that I don't know, or I just my first day here today. Then if it's their first day and they don't know how to answer the question, don't put them on the front counter. Say, let me find out, or let them know. Let me find out. Show frustration publicly. Be a duck. Jimmy, I think you can relate to that from your last deal that you did. You were a duck on top, but underneath that on the pond, your feet were pedaling so fast, but nobody really knew what was happening. And this is really important. If somebody throws you that curveball, try to figure it out, solve the problem, but be the duck. Accept, fine, or okay. Excellence is the standard. Make excuses or make the customer wrong. Make it right. Hide behind policy. I don't know about anybody out there, but I hate it when I hear an employee say, our policy is that you can't go to the back or you can't do this. Find a solution. We don't hide behind policies. Address our customers without doing your homework. We talked about that. When you know who's coming in the next day, everybody knows on the schedule. Everybody has great scheduling. Who's coming in? What do they need? Did you order the parts ahead of time? Do you know? So that if someone's coming up, and in the class I talked about, if you have two Subarus coming in, one's red, one's blue, the red one's pulled up, you know that it's Christine's car. Last time she came in, she had a new golden retriever puppy. And you say, hey, Christine, how's it going? And how is Buddy, the new golden retriever puppy? That's a wow factor, people.
Yeah.
Write your notes, and they talk about that in here of writing notes. Showing disinterest to the customers, and then greet them by name. We have a rule. We have a 2x3 mat in the front door. As soon as they walk off that mat, they need to be greeted. Don't leave things by chance. Be prepared. Don't let the day happen to you. And then having conversations with coworkers in front of your customers is not good. And then using customer's name at least 2 times. So create your never and always list. And trust me, your employees will run with this. We went on and on. There's like 10 more things that we added. And we have some things that we added on the always side that's not on the never side because we always want to do certain things. So basically create your own never and always list. The other thing we talked about with customer retention and bringing people back is one mistake. It takes one mistake. And I'm going to give you an example. And we use this all the time when I talk to my people. And is that when we order lunch every Friday for our team and have a lunch meeting, and inevitably the order gets messed up. Sandwich is forgotten, or a pickle, or a tomato, or a whole whatever. And I have 3 or 4 people that will say, well, we'll never use them again. Well, if that were the case, we wouldn't be able to eat on Fridays because there would be no restaurants available that didn't make a mistake. But their immediate answer is that we're never going to go there again. we flip that. Every single time we hear that, we flip and say, so when you made a mistake on a car and you didn't do X, that's okay for that customer to never come back again because you made a mistake. And they go, oh, okay, let's rethink that. So anytime anybody says that now, well, that's what we say. So, oh, so last time, what was the last mistake you made? Yeah, well, that customer never come back. Same thing with your vendors. Have those partner up with your vendors. If you're not getting parts on time, find out why. Maybe they have somebody, maybe 2 or 3 people out sick. How can you help fix the problem? So here's just a list of what those one mistakes could be at the shop. Fixing it right the first time, dirty bathroom, delivering on time, not enough communication, not fixing what it came in for, forgetting to call, text, or email, pencil whip in first, and then second visit, telling them all these other things. We weren't friendly enough. I mean, that is just, you don't realize that. And then handprints and it takes your entire team with that. So in closing, and then we have some questions for if we have any questions. Track your marketing results, do your source tracking, figure out whether you need to focus on acquisition or retention. Do the closing the backdoor exercise. What are your non-negotiables? What's your customer service? And what's in it for them is key every single time you talk about any of these things. Source tracking and marketing tracking. Source tracking was a challenge. It took me months to get them to do it because I would check every single day and I say I had 5 invoices closed. Do I have 5 sources? I have 10 invoices closed. Do I have 10 invoices? And to where that was muscle memory and we were getting accurate information. And I explained it to him and said, I'm spending a lot of money to get customers to come in. And if I'm spending a lot of money on this one and they're not coming in and we're not bringing them back, why would I spend that money there? I need to spend it on where we're getting it. So they understood where you spend your money and how you spend it. And then set your goals. So this is a thank you for spending the time. I'm a huge one on what are you going to take away and make it happen. And I have these 2 pictures for a very specific reason. When you start doing source marketing or market tracking or goal set, anything that you're doing, it takes time and you have to trend. So on the left is baby puppy Moose. It is absolutely beautiful. And in 2 years, this is Moose's 2 years. He is now 6 years old. He looks very similar. He didn't gray yet. But in 2 years, if you do the work, look what can happen. And when I say on this one, when I did the work, I fed the puppy, I picked up the dog poop, and I loved him up. And he did it all by himself. But when you're working on the shop, focus that in. What are you doing? Keep it going. Don't stop and make that happen.
Oh, I love it. I
So
love it.
Jimmy, it's take it to you, buddy.
Well, so and I'm going to open this up to everybody that is listening. What are some of your non-negotiables? I'd love for you to chat those in, and we can put those up here. What are some of those non-negotiables in customer service or in that relationship with your customer that you have implemented into your shop? What does that look like for you for your shop? And then, Judi, I have a question for you. Oh, and by the way, everybody, if you have questions, please chat in your questions so that we can address those and answer them here with Judi on talking about closing the back door. Okay, so this was shown to you. The light was shown. You're now focused on it. You're now implementing it. What was one of the challenging things in the beginning that is now an easy thing? What took the effort and energy in the beginning that now is easy for you guys to do?
I'm going to say the overall concept of customer retention. And one of the exercises we did that one-time visitor, I pulled 10 invoices for each of my service writers. And I said, okay, here's 10 new customers that came in. You tell me what our status, 50% of them don't come back.
Yeah, which 5 are not going to make it?
Which 5 are not going to come back? And they looked at me and they went, well, and then they'd go through them. I said, no, you go through and you pull and you make a pile of 5 that are not going to come back. They could come up with 1 or 2. They couldn't do the 5. Yeah. That made such a huge impression on them. And then the conversation of what does retention mean? How does that mean? And now everybody knows that's kind of what we're focusing on. I mean, I had one of my employees came up and said, hey, do we need to be sending out something that's kind of slow? And in the February, January, we did, I don't know, $35,000 more than we did the year before, which was great. I'm all excited. February is kind of slow and it's normal. That's what it is. And they actually came up and said, hey, what do we need to send out? Can we do a text blast? Can we do an email blast? What do we got? What do we have? What are we doing? Can we do another Google My Business post on X? So they're thinking about that. That is the huge aha for me, is that they understand it and they get it. And that tells you that you've done a good job presenting that.
Nice. Nice. Very cool. Yeah. And here we've got another yes shop from Eric.
Yep.
Yep. And we'll see Eric at the Super Conference here in a couple of weeks. He is a yes shop as well.
Oh,
That's
yes.
super awesome.
Super conference.
And I have a question about this one. What is this? Virginia Automotive Service. I think this is John Powell. John, never. Oh, is it the word never? The word never. They never say never. I think that's what I'm picking up.
Yes. Never say never. Because you never say never. I mean,
never ever say never.
Never ever say never, because you never know when you're going to. I mean, we have where we do Uber and Lyft, and it's like, well, we never go out of the area of Boulder. It's like, yeah, don't say that, because we do, and we have. So, absolutely.
Well, we've got a lunch and learn offer here from Judi. And those of you saw this spreadsheet that was coming through with you put in the information. If you are interested, if you would like to fill out this information and get a copy of this spreadsheet, I'm happy to send it to you. Send me your email address and I will send you a copy of this spreadsheet. And the first 5 shops that reply with the spreadsheet full, you can sit down with Judi. You bring your lunch, she'll bring her lunch. You'll sit down for 30 minutes and go through these numbers to find out, are you in the top left corner and operating in the green and everything's good? You have high retention, high acquisition, or are you like Judi at the moment that you've got high acquisition, low retention, or are you going to turn white and discover, oh my gosh, we're out of business. We just don't know it yet. Are we in that low acquisition, low retention? So if you're interested, send me an email or send me a text message with your email address. I'll reply with this spreadsheet so you can fill out this information. We're going to take the first 5 shops that fill out this information. You'll be able to sit down with Judi and have this conversation to talk about what you can do to become that sticky shop.
I'm going to jump in. That spreadsheet, you fill out the blue boxes only, and it auto calcs the rest. So what I would suggest is you get that from Jimmy, you make a copy, or in the tabs on the bottom, if you're good with spreadsheets, duplicate it, play with the one so that you keep the one as a master, so that if you mess up the calculations, you can go back to the original. That's just spreadsheet 101.
Nice. Yes. Always keep an original on hand so that you can, because I've done it as well. And once I've messed it up, I need to go back to the original and redo it and come back to it again.
Or you go back. But yeah.
Nice. Well, super awesome. Thank you so much, Judi. Thank you for helping us to understand that there is a backdoor and that we can close it. And by closing it, you can have a significant increase in the business in your shop.
Absolutely. Without spending huge amount of acquisition money or even retention money, focusing in, it makes a huge difference. And having conversations with your employees is paramount.
That's awesome. I love the transparency there you have with your entire team, and also to show them, hey guys, if we focus on this is your paycheck today. This is what it could be by the end of the year. And that's some serious buy-in from everybody for sure. Yeah. Thank you.
Technicians as well. Everybody's on board.
Absolutely. My name is Jimmy Lea. I am KUKUI. This is my email address. This is my cell phone number. Let's connect. What can we do? How can we lock arms together so that we can help you to make a difference in your patch? Aloha to you all. Look forward to talking to you soon. Thank you very much. Thank you, Judi.
You're welcome.